Hello and welcome to this exciting presentation, How to Reset Your Mindset to Create Your Vision and Goals, Preparing for the New Year by Dimitra Mersinia. Thank you, Dimitra, for giving us this presentation. Take it away.
Thank you, Sigrid, and sorry you are putting up with me again for the second time today. Today I was going to, for this talk, I was going to briefly talk about how you can reset your mindset. Being like the end of the year, and a lot of people are preparing for having goals for the new year. I thought that would be appropriate, and I'm going to put this as a PDF in the Expo booth as well. And there's going to be like a short video as well. So people come to talks like this about mindset because they either want to find their true purpose and fulfillment. They want to discover what truly motivates them. So remember, motivation only works if it's internal. It comes from within us. Any external motivation, other people telling us what to do, it's not really sustainable. And some because they want to remove the things that they are currently holding them back in life, the things that actually stopping them from moving forward. Ultimately because they want to become the best version of ourselves. And we want to keep working on ourselves, right? So we live in a fast-paced world, and we have to perform every day. We wear different hats. We have multiple roles daily. So we are a mother, a sister, a brother, a manager, a son, a daughter, etc. And we have to perform and be productive, please others, whilst constantly trying to find balance amongst all of this. And we sort of like lose ourselves and our true identity. So who can resonate with that? Having lost our identity, ourselves in a way, it is often things like lack of consistency with the actions we need to take towards personal goals and dreams. Also, people struggle to commit to certain things long term. So we start things, but often do not finish them. And as a result, we may never get to the desired outcomes that we are looking for. And when people come like to talks like this, there is a high probability that you're being in overwhelm with stress, anxiety, self-sabotage, and the list goes on. And all of this really leads us to one destination, and that is where you end up failing to create the life that that we really want. So I do not know what your vision is, but I'm sure there is a vision in everything that we do and for the future. All of these decisions or indecisions, overwhelm, procrastination, no matter what area of life you mostly want to change, it fundamentally just comes down to one thing, mindset. So either the mindset controls you or you control your mindset. So in this brief talk, we'll discover the science of transforming life and why activating a specific cell in the brain is very critical in achieving things 5 times faster. So we'll learn how we can rapidly form empowering habits that last a lifetime. And so people may want like more freedom in their life. You may want to increase wealth. You may want to increase your health. You may want to increase your relationships and improve relationships in your life. You want to start a dream career, and you want to design a dream life of some kind. So in this exploration journey for creating results, we find that we may come in front of 4 major blocks. So, and I briefly mentioned it in the previous talk as well, but just sitting in this session, it shows that you can make decisions and you can definitely take control of your mindset through those. So there are fundamentally the 4 major blocks, and the first major block that a lot of people struggle with is the lack of clarity. And when we're lacking clarity, we have no idea where we're heading in life and what our life is meant to look like, our actions become unfocused. The second big issue is internal resistance. So things like that hold us back. And you might have something like fear holding you back from doing things, or guilt or shame or lack of confidence. Perhaps we convince ourselves that we are not good enough, that we are not smart enough, we are not competent enough, or whatever this may be. And this resistance sometimes it causes us to even get not to even get started in our goals. The third big issue is self-sabotage. This is the automatic habits that we do that cause us to fail without really having to think about it. So automatic habits like hitting the snooze button, like binge eating, like being inconsistent, not committing to things. And what that means is that we are failing without being consciously aware of it. And the fourth major goal is zero accountability. So we do not follow through, and therefore we are completely unaware of the mistakes that we may be making, not getting the feedback on our blind spots, and therefore not progressing forward. So just to summarize and just to be clear, the four major blocks are lack of clarity, internal resistance, self-sabotage, and zero accountability. Now, there will be tools that will enable you to deal with all four blocks in the most proficient way. But first, I want you to think of a question for a second. And the question is, what is the pattern for success? I do not know if you've ever had a sort of like sat down and thought of this through. If there is an underlying pattern for success. So let's take music, for example. I do not know if you've ever thought this before, but have you ever thought that all these successful songs on the radio seem to sound a little bit similar in a way? I do not know if you've contemplated if they've got something in common. And for example, what do all these very successful songs have in common? The fact is that there is a pattern for success in music. And the reality is that all successful songs do sound similar if you listen to them, and because they do follow a special pattern. All the successful chords in the world, it's just the ones that I could fit on this slide, but all of the successful songs that I was showing before, they're based on a pattern made up of just four chords. So whether it's, the Stand By Me or the Let It Be or Knocking on Heaven's Door, I don't know, some of them like are pretty old songs, but you name it, every single one of these songs is based on one pattern that is made up of just four chords. So the four chords are actually made of the sequence C, G, A minor, and F of them in the melodic scale. So no matter how you flip the chord sequence, you'll be able to find a song that actually stems from. In fact, you can actually go and take some of your favorite songs and apply this chord sequence to the songs, and you'll hear that it actually find that it's true. So like in music, there is a four-step sequence which fundamentally lands you in creating two cool things in your life and to reset your mindset. And the second thing is enables you to be happy and successful, which is, manifesting your dream life. So we talked about creating your vision. And in order to create a vision, in order to talk about the vision, you need to understand what it is. So it's like if you had a magic wand and you could create whatever life you could dream of, fundamentally the ultimate, most meaningful outcome for you. When we are asked to write a vision, we usually write what we want, not what we actually need. And the secret to creating vision is to create what is referred to as the values-driven vision. So your values sit in a hierarchy. So I was going to ask, you can think about, in a few seconds, what are your top three values at the moment? Because the values do change, but according to, as the years go by and according to our circumstances. So what are your top 3 values right now? So for example, we were talking about health before in a previous talk. So as health is your wealth. So where does health sit in your values right now? And why is this question important to ask? Because if health is not your priority, you will not have enough fuel to commit consistently to the action steps that you are setting. So there are a number of ways and tools out there to go through and discover your values. I do have like one tool that usually takes about 7 minutes, and I'll put this in the PDF as well. But look at it in another way. So each value, as you say it out loud, what feeling does it make you feel? Does it resonate with you? Whether you are doing, you want to do some movement, some exercise, or the food that, or the comfort eating that sometimes we do. What is the feeling then? By saying them out loud and resonating with those values, you decide which ones gives you the most energy. And this is how you prioritize them. So there are also, you've got the golden values, and there are some other things that you do behind the scenes. That's something that you don't actually say to someone. Sometimes they may feel unconscious to you, but they're actually there, and this can be a driver to your actions. And these are called the shadow values. So knowing your values and including your shadow values, they give birth to your life purpose. So just be really careful when you're writing down. You're not writing down somebody else's vision. Your vision is made up of your values. So, and these values and beliefs that they do change, they do come from inside you, as because everything you need is inside you, even to drive and to change, to change course. So I want you to imagine something else for a second. You've got your values-driven vision and you want to go somewhere. So you're going to get into your car and drive towards that vision. You get into the car, you start the car, but this is what you decide to do. As hard as you can, you place your feet on both the accelerator and the brake at exactly the same time. So if you were to do that at exactly the same time, would you go anywhere? And the answer is no, the car is not going to go anywhere. And a lot of people find themselves in situations like this. You're sitting and you're just spinning your wheels. And you start looking around to add things to your life, to change things. But the thing is, if you're spinning your wheels, you need to remove something instead. So you need to remove, obviously, the brake pedal. You need to remove your resistance. And there are fundamentally 3 core types of resistance. The very first one is trapped emotions, basically emotions that hold you back. So this could be like, for example, fear, shame, guilt, self-doubt, the stories that you're not good enough. So we know that fear is an emotion and we trap inside the body. And from what we call significant emotional experiences or significant emotional events. There is a raft of emotions that act like a handbrake as the resistance to taking action. So we learn how to handle those emotions, and some of them remove. The second type of resistance is limiting beliefs. And they're limiting beliefs because we believe them and they limit us in some way. They are the resistance. And people tend to believe things about themselves that they are not simply true. They're not good enough, not lovable, I'm an imposter, I'm not smart enough, and so on. The third big thing is values conflict, where we cannot determine what is most important to us. We've got all these different options, but we cannot make up a decision. So values conflict act like a resistance in the form of indecision. The origin of over 90% of all depression was in when a person's point in life they couldn't make a decision. And it shows in every area of life in the way of procrastination, lack of time management, or clutter, either physical or mental. So the resistance is like a door with two keyholes. There are two keys, and both keys have to be inserted and turned at the same time. If you only insert one key, the change will not last, and you end up with an energetic band-aid. You end up with people that 3 weeks later, nothing has happened. And nothing changes if nothing changes, right? So these two keys are basically the key of logic, which is your head, and the key of emotion, which is your heart. And this is where budding up or talking to other people can actually help. Now, we've got our values-driven vision. We removed our resistance. The question for you is, how successful and fulfilled would you be if you just did the things that you said you would? You said you would move more, you would eat more vegetables, you would have a meal plan, and you just kept doing it. You just cannot keep with it. A lot of people aren't doing the things that they said they would do. So what is the solution? The solution is creating heart-centered habits. This simply means that you emotionally want to do the habit, because at the end of the day, you need to enjoy the journey. You need to fall in love with the process, not just the prize at the end. So, for example, if you take Ash Barty, in tennis, do you think that, or major elite athletes, why do you think they wake up so early in the morning and they every single day and do all those long hours of training? Do you think they usually look at the clock and, when is the time to go home? Right? So every result that you want to create has one master habit that causes the actualization, and in a very rapid sense. And there are 3 or so supporting habits behind it. Then you can use the process called habit hacking. And it basically has to do with neuroplasticity and wiring these new pathways in the brain. So habit hacking is 3 core parts. And part 1, you remove all your self-sabotaging habits. So you remove your self-sabotaging habit like binge eating, junk food, scrolling social media, Netflix marathons, or any other sort of addictions that you don't want in your life. So that's step 1. Step 2, you discover the master habit of the result that you want to create and your supporting habits. And then step 3, through a process known as a neurological linking, you connect these habits to the existing superhighways in your mind to accelerate the results. Now, these pictures on the screen, they're just like the scientific proof for those who want some proof. So inside your mind and your body, there's a series of networks that made up of cells known as the neurons, and that's the first picture there. And now these neural networks, some of them are more insulated than others. And this insulation causes the energy, the information to travel down these neurons, these networks much faster. Now, this insulation was discovered by this guy in 1543. It's the Renaissance anonymous called, well, not so anonymous now, but called Andreas Vesalius, who wrote in his book De Humani Corporis about the difference between gray and white matter. So the reason that this actually matters to you is because there is this red arrow is pointing at something called the myelin sheath. And if we were to cut out straight through this and look at it from this angle, that's the second picture. So for example, in the first picture, right here, I do not know, I hope you can see my cursor. There is not so much myelin there. There's no insulation. In the second example, the middle picture, there is one little tube of it. And in the last example, there is a densely packed amount of insulation. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is because the information that travels down this one, the last one, is 100 times slower than the information traveling down this one, the last one. So once you know the master habit and all the supporting habits, your job through new neurological linking is to link those habits to the neurons in your mind that they are heavily insulated. So it only works when you become aware of the sabotaging habits. So think about what are some of the sabotaging habits that may not be serving you right now. So most people try to do everything on their own, not realizing that a little bit of support can go a very long way. And I want you to think about this. Think back at times in your life where you've been supported by a person or your team, and you will soon realize how essential this support really is. So one example in our world is a coach, and coaches fundamentally do 4 core things. They help you observe the blind spots to point out mistakes that you're not aware of. They help you with strategies. They also provide you with quality questions to get you think about things. And they help you be accountable. So as a review, when we're talking about your vision that you're creating, step 1 is to create a values-driven vision so you can reach your destination. If you are clear what you want most in life, then you can find yourself spinning your wheels if you're not clear. And you've got the brake and the accelerator on, or you're experiencing overwhelm and stress and anxiety and procrastination, constantly holding you back. You've got trapped emotions, limiting beliefs, and conflicting values. So if you have not done your values-driven vision, you will still reach a destination, that's for sure, but you won't like it when you get there. You'll still be miserable if that one is not dealt with. Your step 2 was to remove your resistance, and once you've done that without heart-centered habits, you'll fail because you'll be using automatic self-sabotaging habits to take you in the wrong direction, and you will be burning yourself out. And if you've gone through those steps, if you do not have the support at the end, the body, you will be stuck. And thank you for your attention. So basically, this is how, if you go through those steps, you can become clear of the goals that you will set up for the next year. And the goals will become clearer. And by simplifying and breaking the goals into as small steps as possible, putting them into your habits, putting them into your diary, then they're going to be easier followed through. And this is all about the mindset.
Thank you so very much, Dimitra. That was very interesting, that the steps you've explained for us to reset our mindset so that we can really, with power, create our vision and goals, especially for the next year. There are a number of steps to take, and you have very easily, very well explained those to you. Thank you for that presentation.
Thank you.